week in gaming, the Game Award nominees are announced, and people lose their ever-loving mind. This is the Nerd Cave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by There's a Man, an immortal and forgotten to time. He has lived for thousands of years, fought against injustice, indulged in every pleasure. You know what I'm talking about. Befriended the rich and the famous, spent years caring for the poor and the sick. He is a legend, only known in story, and he has passed through so many lives. He has done and seen all and will be at the end of things. He is Calathar, the Eternal Wanderer, or Kel.
Huh. I wasn't expecting that, especially with the ebb and flow of the exposition. But I like it. I like everything about that name, actually. But do I like it enough to rank it high? And looking at that top 8.
At the top 8, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I'm looking at that Nightshade, looking at Maxwell Mindreach Stone, looking at Kazimar, Edrin Grimborn, the Frozen Knight, King Thalric Valkram, High Goblin King Gilgamesh, King Arendor the Eminent, and Marconius Dracon the Great Wizard. I don't think it hits the top 5 after this is why I read those out, because I have to sounding them out.
Yeah, you gotta hit the ears. It's gotta tickle that ear.
Because if it doesn't roll off the tongue as well as the ones above it, then it doesn't deserve to be up there. True. And I think it's gonna just sit right outside the top 5 and take over Kazimar's place at the new number 6.
New number 6, everybody. Let's go. Derek, everybody else here, this episode is brought to you by the Epic Game Store, where you can support us by using creator code NERDCAVE at checkout, and our wonderful patrons, but more about that later. We got an awesome show tonight. We're talking about the Game Awards nominees. Derek, I got to take a quick pulse, though. Have you played any video games?
Actually, I'm glad you asked, sir. I had to correct an error because last week was hectic. Found out. Oh, I don't think we told we didn't tell the stream.
We haven't.
It's official. Found out over a week ago that I am now the new assistant grocery manager at my store. Got promotion.
Let's go.
So it was a hectic week. A lot of moving parts. A lot of emotions. So it was so I couldn't get some stuff done that I needed to. But I corrected that yesterday because I was off. And I went ahead, not only bought and downloaded, but played a couple chapters of Lego Horizon Adventures.
Okay, so you've played a couple chapters, Derek. How does the game feel? Because I know you've played other Lego games in the past. What does this compare to them? And does it feel more like a Lego movie more than a Lego game of old?
So it definitely has. So let's not bury the lead on that one either. Too, I played both. We both played both Horizon games.
Yep.
So it's like a mixing of those two stories. And make no mistake, this is obviously with just about the iteration of the game here. Yes, some people probably groan about it because 2 weeks ago we got the PS5 remastered of Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition with all the DLC. And now 2 weeks later, we're getting it, and everyone's thinking, oh, it's just a Legolized version retelling of the first game again. And it is. It does have some of the same story beats in the beginning, but it is different. It is a different story. Like, there's some different things happening. Like, Rost is around a little bit longer than you anticipate.
Okay.
Some people will say that he feels like he was just around for 5 minutes in the first game. But, he does play an integral role, and he's actually becomes the narrator, of the game. But then it takes a turn. Like, of course, Varl's a dweeb. He's just like one of those not damsel, obviously, whatever the male male counterpart to that word is, in distress.
Damsel.
Something. But then they take it, instead of invading the proving, they just come like the cult of the sun, invade the village and capture the All-Mother, Tirsa, and then you have to go through, and then like Tirsa, and then like Varl becomes playable. And then I didn't play. I stopped when I got to her, but Tirsa is a playable character too. So yeah, and of course, again, it's the same story beat, like who is my mother, what is my purpose type deal. Of course, it does have the Lego slapstick humor where it's just like, like they talk about stuff like Varl talks about, oh, I read comic books, and Aloy is like, cool, what are comic books? Just like stuff like that. It does have the slapstick humor, and it does like poke fun at it being like, oh, we know nothing of this, but we're going to make it seem like we do, but not everyone does. You know what I mean? So it does feel like the Lego movie in that aspect with the dialogue, like the scenes that happen. And it is interesting how they introduce the machines, because yes, you do still get a focus, and it's like Oprah, because it, it's talking about the humor. Ross is like, when Aloy's old enough, is like, oh, here's this triangular device called a focus that lets you, and then she founds it out. It's like, oh, this is special. This is part of my destiny. And Ross is like, oh, maybe not so much. I found there was a bag of these next to you when you were a baby. So, and then she just starts handing them out to like people, like she handed one to Varl, of course, but then hands one to Tirsa as well later on in the story. Like once you save her, and it's like, she's just like Oprah. It's like, you get a focus, you get a focus, you get a focus. So again, it does feel like a Lego movie in production value. It is very simplistic though with the gameplay. Obviously, you don't do any hand-to-hand combat. You don't have Aloy's lance. You can't override machines yet that I played. So all the machines don't seem to scale though. You know what I mean? They all seem bigger, way big. Like the Watcher seems even bigger than Aloy's character, and that's like smaller than she. So I don't think it's scale accurate with the enemies. Like, of course, like the human enemies are your same size, but the machines aren't to scale. But that's a small tidbit. The grass, they do have the red grass where you can hide in and do stealth, but like in the game where you can pop up, hit a weak point, and then duck in. Once you fire and hit it, then it uncovers you, and then the machine immediately just targets at you. So, but there are environmental hazards, like there's like fire bombs, and you can add elemental effects to your weapons. Like there's a bonfire, and shoot your arrow through it, it causes flame damage.
So are the machines difficult to take down? Because
not really. I mean, they do have health bars, and I mean, as you level, because it is RPG-ish. So every time you level up, you gain. No, you don't get to choose. It's already chosen for you. Like one level, like my first level that I got with Aloy, it increased bow damage. Then the next level, I got an extra heart. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of flip-flops between those kind of, like, the most common ones will be bow damage increase and extra hearts. But I will say there are they like at intervals when you're doing like the story missions, there's like this merchant, and you get, of course, you get collect chests. Like you do get building, but the building doesn't seem to have an overall effect. Now there is a hub world where you go like Mother's Heart, where as you go through collecting, because you get gold bricks for completing every level. And there's no mini kits this time. It's just pretty much gold bricks. And the more gold bricks, you unlock more buildings and more things to do in the hub world, like customization, that kind of thing.
Do you get like there would be like True Jedi? You have to collect so many coins.
There's not that either.
Okay.
So you just literally collect it to buy cosmetic stuff in the game, or buy like add-ons, because you can change, like, say you go to the merchant, like you build a merchant shop, then you can be like, you can customize it how you want to, like, or like a great hall, like you can have a feast table, you can have a merchant shop outside of it. With another building, you can decorate it with different like roofs. Like you can put like a tall neck head on top of it. You can put a thunderjaw head on top of it. You can just get different customizations. And then they make callbacks like with paint jobs and whatnot and costumes to other Lego, like Lego City, Lego Ninjago, like type stuff. Like it's more aimed at the kids who have been like grown up playing a bunch of the Lego games. But for us who don't care for those last couple properties, I care nothing for it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, cool. You recognized it, but I have no need of this. Like they do have the PlayStation and Horizon stuff in there, but I mean, like it's just, they try and be fair to all the Lego fans out there. But there is no true believer, true Jedi type thing.
Okay.
You're just collecting studs, which there are chests that will give you, like, every once in a while you'll find this rare chest that'll give you like 500-600 studs, but the average one will give you about 125 studs.
Okay.
What else? Oh, but you do, like, you get to a merchant, and then some of like the chests you open give you like these quick power-ups. Like you get jet boost, which you can, it's a double jump, but it causes like flame damage if you're above like an enemy, or like
That's pretty
say
dope.
you see the secret area that, you know, is like covered in vines. You can double jump and like cause it to burn up and then get to that secret area type thing. Another one is it's weird. I don't know what this reference is, but it's like a hot dog cart vendor, which is like apparently way overpowered. Like they'll just start throwing, like it'll summon a hot dog cart vendor and they'll just start throwing stuff at the machine enemies. Yeah, that's the only
that I know that's from is literally the trailer. Was like the hot dog dude was in the trailer,
and I guess that
I don't know
what it means over
yeah.
right. But then like for Aloy, like you get the scatter shot bow, like which will fire, like you can target multiple enemies the further back you are. And then of course one of the last ones I got was a flame bow, which which already imbues your arrows with fire damage rather than have to be near a bonfire. But those abilities are limited. Now, of course, if you find more chests and like I got an ability to where enemies have a percentage to drop certain things as well. So, of course, you can always refill those over time, or you can pick and choose where it's like, all right, I don't really care for this power up. Oh, they dropped the scatter shot bow. This is more prevalent to my mission currently. Let me pick that up and change it out.
Yeah, that was my question, is like in the regular games, the amount of weapons that you get is at times almost ridiculous, like the different options that you can use within the game, because they do affect different, you know, I'm not going to say animals, but the different robots and everything in different ways. So I was curious, like how it would affect actually, like, you know, in the game, like if you actually got a more than just a regular bow.
Right. So it's very simplistic, but is also like adds some fun to it as well. So it very much waters down the Lego version, but again, as we talked about several years ago, the people behind the Lego games are looking to change how they do Lego games going forward. So, you know, not everything, because, you know, I know they had Lego Racers and Fortnite type thing. So I think they're looking to branch out and do different things with the Lego properties rather than just be copy and paste, do the same thing, repeat, rinse the same story for certain properties type thing. So it is different. Like, and you know, I do miss like the gathering of studs is not as enticing at, you know, if you're not building toward that true believer, you know, that kind of thing, true Jedi type thing. But I don't miss the mini kits. Now as you progress, there is certain things that you can build, like, but it doesn't matter to anything. Like there are some where you can build like a zip line that cut across, like if you like, because there are like, you follow the stud path, if you follow like the brown ones, obviously that's the main path, or like they're brown or gold, I forget. But then there are silver ones that lead you on a separate path to like find like hidden things, or like an alternate path that wraps around to get you to your main path again. So stuff like that. And then like some of the builds, you can create a zip line to just go down if you're like high up. But really the building doesn't matter outside of the hub world. But even then you don't get to build it. It's just a cutscene of watching you build it. But that may be because I'm playing on a lower difficulty, so that may have something to do with it. Not entirely sure. So, but the hub world is definitely going to be more of like the interaction, because the last thing I got was a community board that gives you like objectives, like, hey, and it's not like stuff like that's hard. It's just stuff that you generally do in the game, like, hey, kill 8 machines with elemental damage and get like a bonus or whatever. You know what I mean? So you can earn stars toward that.
So kind of like your dailies and everything.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. So last question, so we can move on to the 2024.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on.
Here, Game Award nominees. I wanted to know, do you feel like the game is going to have enough replayability, especially not chasing like mini kits, true Jedi, whatever it may be? Do you feel like there is enough replayability in the game, or it's just one and done type deal?
So I haven't gotten that far to determine that yet, but I do think it will, only because I completed chapter 1. So like, of course, there's the prologue that you play as, get the basis of the story, then chapter 1. And then for like all the chapters, like, and it's nice too because you keep going the same way for each part of the level, but it branches off at certain points to give you like a different perspective, like a different outlook, or different layout of certain levels. So you keep going the same direction, but then when I unlocked a next section to start the next chapter, I was like, there is something I am missing. Like there's like there's like, of course they show you you can have characters and the amount of gold bricks for each level, and then there's like 3 question marks. I unlocked 2, and there was a third one that I didn't get. I'm like, can I go back and find that? And then it's like locked. Got to progress the story, but it's like it said Apex Machines on it, so I'm thinking you can go back and do like some challenges or whatnot. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played that far enough, but it does, I think, provide some kind of additional playthrough to go back to certain areas and like try different things.
Okay, well, it sounds interesting. I will try it and see, and we can compare notes. But we're going to jump into the 2024 Game Awards nominees. We're going to pop them up on screen so everybody can see. And we're going to start right off with Game of the Year. We want to talk about this in depth, so it's kind of topic of the show, if you will.
Yeah, it is pretty much the entire show. I mean, strap in. We got a 5-hour show planned. We're going to dive deep into every category, every game, what got snubbed, what deserves to be. No, I'm just kidding, guys.
All right, no. You can stay here, Derek. I'm going to go to bed after like 8 o'clock. So, Game of the Year, we have some interesting choices in here, and I do want to talk about some of them and get your thoughts, because a lot of people were kind of surprised by some of the nominations and everything. So, Game of the Year, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. We have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio. So the big one is Shadow of the Erdtree being DLC. And then we have Rebirth, which is essentially a remake. And people are losing their minds over this, that we have DLC and a remake within this. So what is your thoughts on that? And then we can talk about the actual who we think should win and all of that.
So let me start off by saying this is definitely having these nominations, and I'll get to the few controversial ones here in a minute. But just overall, like the nominations proves that it has been like while there has been like, when you started 2024 and you looked at the upcoming release calendar, or like possible release calendar, and you saw all these big names like Star Wars Outlaws, like Princess Peach Showtime, all these kind of things, you thought it would be a great year. And when you come to the finish line and you see the nominees, you come to realize that this year, while it's been a good year for gaming, has also been one of those things where it has been a bunch of letdowns, in my opinion. So whereas like a bunch of like just names on the box does not suffice anymore. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars does not carry the same weight out for Ubisoft, at least, as it does with EA or Respawn. But to get to those two, controversial ones, to play devil's advocate for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they changed the story enough where, like, I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but they, because even though they did talk about it in part 1, they do make enough changes to the story in a way to where it is almost like a new experience. Even though it is at the basis, it is still the same story that but they try and turn it on its head a little bit to make it just where it's not a 1-for-1 beat reboot. So I think that does it deserve to be Game of the Year? Yeah, maybe yes, maybe no, but at least you can make that argument that it is different enough to not just be a 1-for-1 remake. Now, Shadow of the Erdtree is a different story. Again, you can say that it is pretty much just another game in and of itself. Like they could have made this like Spider-Man Miles Morales or Uncharted Legacy, and I don't think people would have batted an eye. But because it is an attachment and an add-on to the base game, essentially, that's where people are getting up in arms. Now, do I think DLC? Yes and no. It depends. Like if it is riveting enough, and because there's been such a gap between when the base game launched and the DLC launched, that I feel like it is such a substantial enough, like I said, to almost be a separate game in and of itself. I feel like it does at least deserve to be in that conversation. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I fully agree that DLC needs to be here. What up, Mike? So again, I do feel like they are riding those coattails of the success of Elden Ring. Like they are just raiding into the hype. And they are pretty much like, I don't want to say they're just trying to be all up, from software. Anything from software deserves to be in the Game of the Year nominations, but that's also, you can also make a case that that's what it feels like.
Yeah, like for me, it's one of these, like we've talked about this several times, where we think that it is, DLC should have its own, remakes or remasters should have their own thing. And this year it feels like Elden Ring is such a big game. Like Erdtree is such a big game. That I don't feel like it falls into the DLC category. All right. I'm on kind of defend that here. I don't feel like it is DLC. DLC to me is, the Spider-Man, 2016,
2018.
Whatever it is, 2018, where you do a few things and then it's over within a few hours, or the Batgirl DLC from Arkham Knight. Like there is a finite thing. With Erdtree, there is so much more. There's a whole new realm. There's more lore. There's new bosses. Like it's not necessarily like just a regurgitation of the base game.
Right.
It's essentially like an expansion pack if you really wanted to think about it that way. But it could have been Elden Ring 2, Shadow of the Erdtree. It literally could have been that way. I don't know. I feel like Elden Ring deserves a spot or Erdtree deserves a spot on that, because this year has been very interesting with gaming. Final Fantasy Rebirth, I also think deserves to be on this. Yes, it is a remake, but it is so far different than the original. Like you are looking at something that is actually like groundbreaking graphically. They even improved on the fighting systems from remake. So there's so much going on here. There's voice lines, there's all of this stuff. So yes, it is a remake, but it is not just we're up-resing it, a remaster. You know what I mean? Like there's actually art and work and effort that is fully went into this, because it is a reimagining of the original game. It's not just a paint by numbers, if you will. That's kind of my thought. And I know I've definitely touted the, remakes and DLC shouldn't be on this list, but I feel like these two deserve to be on here. The one that I don't understand is Balatro.
Yes and no. I mean, again, I think they've, whether it's an agenda or whatnot, I think they've tried to get like an indie smaller game into the nominations every year, because I know Stray was it, and like I said, I forget, I'm sure there's been other indie games that have been nominated, but everyone has been talking. I haven't played it, and I know it's a big card game, but everyone that when you bring up an indie category has brought up Balatro, that I feel like just the conversation enough was to a reason enough to put it in there. Now, was there some other ones? Yes, there's always some other ones, like last year with Stray. I feel like with Venba, with Sea of Stars, I feel like those were more deserving than Stray, in my opinion, but to each their own. But Balatro has been universally talked about as like the indie game for the year, and I think that just because of that simple conversation, they had to include it.
Yeah, and now it is available on phones. And I will say, my coworker Nick, he brought up Balatro to me like a month ago. He's like, dude, I've been playing this on my phone. It's so much fun. it just feels like I feel like there's other games that we could have put in here, but hey,
Yeah.
that's me just questioning it a little bit. So
Hmm.
out of these, however many there are, I can't count. Um,
6.
out of these 7, out of these 6, Derek, I know, I think I know who you're going to vote for on this, but I want to hear it from your mouth. Who do you think deserves Game of the Year out of this list?
So, me being me, obviously, I'm going to tell you who
Mm,
I want, and then I'm
yep,
going to tell you who I think it's going to be.
yep,
Obviously, I want Astrobot. Like that is such a
yep.
deserved game. Like I obviously I haven't gone and played the DLC
Hmm.
speed run challenges. You know, shame on me. I know,
Yep.
but Ghost of Tsushima has been encapsulating my life, so I have
Yep.
reason. But for like a month and a half straight, Astrobot has just consumed my life
Hmm.
for the better. Like, and it built upon Astro's Playroom in such unique ways, and like just made it more of a full game rather than just a pack in free
Yeah.
add-on to a new console. And there is reason why it's up there. Like we talked about it, it's like we talked about it pretty much like after playing for a month. Like this game should be in the nomination for Game
Yep.
Awards, and it's here. So I think it should, but I think at the end of the day, and I would now let me add an addendum here. I would like also to see Black Myth Wukong win just because of like the
Hmm.
hype, the sales
Yep.
numbers, like just how different it's been of a game it's been. But also I think that the two games that people are up in arms about, I think one of those will win. I think it'll more lean towards Shadow of the Erd Tree, but I think when it comes down to it, they're either going to vote for Rebirth or Erd Tree.
So for me, like I love Astrobot. Enjoyed the every moment of playing that game. It's like discovering something new on each level. Every turn,
Yeah,
every jump is something new. And the sound design, every part of this game is fantastic. That's literally why it is on this list. If I was picking out of these, I would pick Astrobot. I also would probably pick Black Myth Wukong, and I haven't even touched the game
yeah,
because it's a lot like Elden Ring when it came out, 2 years ago.
yeah.
Constantly, people are posting stuff on TikTok.
Hmm.
It's constantly being on my feed, and I haven't really seen that from anything but Elden Ring. Now, Shadow of the Earth Tree, I've seen a little bit, but
Hmm.
nothing like Black Myth Wukong. And I think it was bringing such an interesting story, a different kind of take on the From Software formula
Right.
as well, and having a character that can do all of these interesting moves and shadow clone jutsu and
Yeah,
having the power pole, all of these things. Like so many people fell in love with this game and it
yeah,
sold like crazy. So for me, I think Black Myth Wukong is probably the real winner here in my
yeah.
opinion. um and I think it might win. The one that might sneak up though is
But
Metaphor Refantasio.
right, and that's again because you talk about like when you look at this, like you have your PlayStation, you have your indie, you have your From Software game, you have your Final Fantasy game, you have your From Software clone in Black Myth, and then you have to have Atlas, so your Persona clone, you like type thing.
Yeah.
So I think because it snuck up and like did so many gangbuster sales without it having Persona attached to its name, I think is going to give it a chance. That's obviously why it's in the finalists,
Yep.
but that could definitely be the dark horse. Like
Yep.
I don't know if it deserves it in my opinion, but obviously it's earned enough to have gotten on the list.
Yeah, I think, the media side of things, I think people have really, really liked the
Hmm.
game. And in the same year that we got Persona 3 Reloaded, and this is
Correct.
talked about way more than Reloaded
Fair.
has been. I think that's a huge nod to how well received this game is. So, but I do think Black Myth Wukong will walk away with the dub here. That's just my thought.
Yeah.
But do you have any other thoughts or opinions on Game of the Year before we move?
Nope.
All right, awesome. So this is best game direction, and guess what? It's the same, same 6. For me, I think this best game direction goes to awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
Mhm.
And Astrobot is the clear winner here.
Yeah,
Okay, that is
like
just my
the
opinion on that.
just the level, the unique level designs, the end worlds that you go to after beating each boss, the secret levels, and then like the oh my god, why did you include this sacred symbols levels type thing? Like
Yes.
the bane of my existence, essentially. Like you got to do it in one shot, or you got to start over again. Like just bringing so many levels and like bringing in like the bots. Obviously, it's not just the bots, it's like the cameo bots and introducing them in fun and unique ways. And then again, like again, those epilogue worlds where you get to play as one of the main characters,
Yep.
getting to don the Kratos costume and swing the Leviathan axe in that level as Astrobot is just like bar none, above a lot of what other platformers are doing, in my opinion. Like I know Princess Peach Showtime had all those different costumes, but it was just a pale comparison to what this,
Yeah.
the Astrobot is doing. And then again, like to bring in the love for PlayStation while also making it a unique experience is just done so well.
Yeah, 1000%. The music design
Yes.
on every level, the sound design, the art direction, every level felt different. And the power ups, yes, you recycle power ups throughout the whole game time,
Hmm.
but they feel unique. And the way they use them within each level is fantastic. Like
Correct.
this is a masterclass at what game development is. And I highly, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think Astrobot will be the best game direction. A lot of times, it's going to go to the essentially runner up
Yeah,
of whatever it is, but I do think Astrobot fits the creative vision and innovation in game direction and design
a
really
thousand
well.
percent.
So that brings us to best narrative.
Hmm.
Okay. So we definitely have some different ones within this. So best narrative goes to for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. We have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor Refantasio, Sinua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. So, Derek,
Hmm.
who do you think is going to walk away with best narrative?
So it's odd seeing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth because I feel like no one after it came out, no one talked about it. But then again, like
Yeah.
it's like the Infinite Wealth gameplay, like the mini games and side quests gets so weird that I think it turns people off.
And the Animal Crossing like subsection of the game where you literally can play that and
Yeah,
nothing else.
yeah. So I don't know if that is up there. And if this was Hellblade 1, I
Yeah.
would say easily it would win this.
Yeah.
But Hellblade 2 came out to a whimper. Like now, granted,
Hmm.
that was a very much ado about a lack of marketing
Yes.
on Xbox's side. But I don't think Hellblade 2, is going to win it. Silent Hill 2, I feel like, they did well enough, but it was, again, it's just a retelling of the story
Hmm.
for me. What I think best narrative, when you talk about outstanding storytelling and narrative development, it goes back to what I said about the Game of the Year nomination. Is I think it'll go to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because it again, it's not just a one for one remake of the game
Yep.
you already know. They do enough of they have pretty much redone a story while still making it the one but making some addendums to it and basically making it feel fresh and new. So I feel like for that reason, Rebirth has to be the go ahead option for this.
Yeah, I think Rebirth is definitely the front runner. Um, Metaphor Refantasio. No, I have to throw this out again.
Yeah,
It has the more potential than the other three, in my opinion,
right.
to potentially take on Final Fantasy in this one. But I do think because Final Fantasy VII has done so well and people love that, I think it's a better choice
Yeah,
for best narrative out of the rest of them. But I know Metaphor Refantasio, that is a lot to say. I'm going to
yeah,
just call it Metaphor. I know
yeah.
Metaphor has been really, really loved. Dan says, Final Fantasy was the only one I played, so I'm going to pick that one. It's a good choice. A good choice, Dan. So, Derek, as we get to our next categories, um, is going to be best art direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. We have Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Earth Tree, Metaphor Refantasio, and Neva.
So just like, just because I feel like more people talked about this, more people talked about it than I think the critical reception for it. I wouldn't mind seeing Neva win it, but
Yes.
at the
Oh my
same
God.
time, like I feel like it does fit that best art direction. What I feel like is they're going to give it to either Black Myth or Elden Ring again, but I think again we go back to level design and like artistic design animation because the whole complete package.
Mm-hmm.
Astrobot I think fits this bill. Like I would like
Yeah.
to see Neva win it in this instance, but Astrobot, I think, just fits that bill to a T when you read that description. Because
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation, like again, level design, sound design, like all of
Yep.
that encapsulate what Astrobot did.
Mm-hmm. Checks all the boxes for sure. Um, Neva is beautiful. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. It is a gorgeous game.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay is pretty simple and everything, but every section you go through, every kind of different biome, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
everything feels and looks gorgeous. The color profiles that they use in this game is delectable, and the enemies being this like dark like sludge kind of stuff is such a stark contrast compared to the main character and the dog, the
Yeah.
wolf that you have and everything. It is such a beautiful game. I think that it is a good pick for this. I also like Astrobot, and I keep bringing up Metaphor, even though I haven't played it, but I know it is a gorgeous game as well with its art
Mm-hmm.
direction. Yes, it does look like Persona and everything, but it has some really interesting stylistic choices within that. So I feel like best art direction is one of the more interesting
Yeah.
categories this year for sure.
Real quick, just because obviously these nominations were announced on Monday, which is the 18th. Obviously, plenty enough time. Obviously, game of the year you can kind of make it, but from your initial thoughts, I feel like it didn't deserve to make that category. Are you surprised that any of the categories, especially best art direction in this one, that we haven't seen any mention of Dragon Age the Veilguard? Because I know it is the cutoff was a little earlier than it normally is this year, but the fact that Dragon Age came out almost a month ago and it's not in any of these major categories yet that we've discussed, does that concern you or like you question some things or what? I just have to get this in.
I think that Dragon Age Veilguard should have been picked for best art direction to
Yeah,
be in this category
for
because
sure.
the game is absolutely gorgeous. Like it
Hmm.
is just the way the ray tracing, the clothing, the hair, like everything looks fantastic. Each city has its own kind of feel, its grit, all of these things just combining together to make a fantastic world that not only feels lived in, but it feels, when you're around like the elves and all of this, like has this like a ethereal thing, and then you get to the nasty streets. It just has this thing to it that I feel like did kind of get snubbed here in best art direction. I was
Right.
literally thinking it. You brought it up. I think that's awesome, but I don't know. I feel like these are safe picks. Like Neva is
Yeah.
kind of an outlier for sure, but these, since it's on the other ones, it's like, oh, this is a safe pick. Like,
Yeah.
yes, Astrobot's amazing looking, so is Black Myth, but we've seen Elden Ring. We've seen it,
Yeah. There's only so much, black and gold that we could see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it like I do feel like Dragon Age should have got something on these kind of like top four
Right.
decisions and everything, but I don't know. Do I think it should have been nominated for Game of the Year? Oh, absolutely not.
No, I'll say
Like,
your initial thoughts. I kind of knew that. I'm like, all right, it's not a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah, the writing in that game is not great, but it is a ton of fun. So which interesting enough, it did not even get picked for best RPG, which
Woof.
is
Woof.
very very interesting. So best score in music. We have best score in music is for outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. We have Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade.
So again, we got to go at, and again, it's like the people at home are probably like, these Sony ponies need to get off their high horse. Well, to that I say, nay. Game recognized game, and I mean, like, it is what it is. Sorry, make a better game or play some different games. Enrich your life. But I do obviously I think Astrobot is a surefire winner here, but let's not count out, because a lot of like JRPG inspired games also do a fantastic job. We see it in anime, even though Zach skips anime openings. But neither here nor there. We see it time and time again in anime that the soundtracks are done really well. So I think don't be surprised if like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or a Metaphor, or even like, I know it's not a Japanese game, but it's like very Japanese inspired. It's made by a Japanese studio with Silent Hill 2. So don't be surprised if any of those walk away with this. But I do want Astrobot.
Stellar Blade, I feel like that is the dark horse here.
I feel like it is too, but I haven't heard anything from Stellar Blade that I can recall. And that's not a shot. That's not a shot. I just haven't listened to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Stellar Blade won it either.
Yeah, it has some bangers in there for sure. Dan says for music, easily goes to Final Fantasy VII. And like, I know like the Sephiroth theme, like there's so many iconic songs, or sorry, not songs, pieces within the game. I'm curious, like, of course we haven't played Rebirth, but the way Astrobot's score and music is integrated into the actual game is very very interesting. And again, yes, we're Sony ponies here, but Final Fantasy VII is also only on PlayStation, so
for now at least.
But yeah, I do think Astrobot in our hearts will at least win this category. I feel like people are like, they always pick the Sony exclusive.
Well, I mean, we love stories and we love gameplay, and like, though Sony is killing it right now, we're not going to include Concord, the dead one. So what I mean?
That could have got picked right here for best score and music. All right, best audio design. We got I know who I'm going to pick here, Derek.
Yeah.
I'm curious who you will pick as well. Best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. We have Astrobot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2 have been nominated for this category. Derek, I'm going to count 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to say who we think should win best audio design. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Senua's Saga.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Dude,
I only you're correct, but again, now, okay, let me take my glasses off here for a minute, because I do think Rebirth would win it. Again, I could just, be a broken record and say Astrobot again, but I do want to take a different approach to this, because I do think Rebirth, because of how JRPGs have such a unique take on how they do audio and sound design in their games, that I feel like it's a surefire win. But also Hellblade, and this is not me hating, but I feel like it's just more of the same from Hellblade 1 for a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, how much do they innovate? How much more do they innovate from the first game? You know what I mean? Like, obviously what they did was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Ain't taken away from it. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But did they really do more innovative stuff in the second one compared to the first one, in my opinion?
Derek, do you think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did more with the sound design than Remake? Did they innovate more on the sound design from the first one to the second one?
I can't answer that. I haven't played either one.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like if you throw that at Hellblade 2, I can throw that. You know what I mean? Like,
but okay. It's one thing where you know what to expect. All right, how should I word this? It's one thing when you innovate on a type of game design. You know what I mean? That Hellblade 1 did. But then it's like the expectation is you got to do it again, or at least keep improving upon what you've done before. It's one thing where you just do a really good sound design or soundtrack. It's another thing to reinvent the wheel, and then it makes it harder to keep doing it or do it again. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't say you have to reinvent the wheel. It says recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. So for me, the people that have done it the best in any game that I've ever played is the Hellblade team over at Team Ninja. Like, they know how to do sound, and just the little bit that we saw behind the scenes as they were getting ready for this game, they were upping the ante for the sound design. They were doing all these different things. Like, they literally had people walking around the microphone and just doing all this spatial stuff, which I know was somewhat there, but there's been so many different things that have been put into this. So for me, I think Hellblade 2 is going to win it. Though I do think the Astrobot sound effects are amazing.
Yeah.
So I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Derek, we're gonna do best performance, and then we're gonna start jumping around. Okay.
Okay.
So best performance award to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and performance capture. And look at here, Brianna White.
Yeah.
From Rebel Gaming. She's awesome. I know her. She's cool. She plays Aerith, for the ones that do not know. Hannah Telly from Life is Strange, Double Exposure. Humberly Gonzalez from Star Wars Outlaws. Luke Roberts from Silent Hill 2. And Melina Juergens from Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which, of course, played Senua. So, Derek, who do you think is going to win?
Honestly, I think it might... This one might surprise you. I think it's a toss-up between, because I'm assuming Hannah Telly is the voice of Max from Life is Strange. I think it'll be a toss-up just because she's playing a returning character, but also because Melina Juergens does Senua so flippin' well. Like, I know I just just argued with you about who deserves best audio design. But again, like the fact, but again, this is more than just like voicing. It's bringing life to a character. And like we just saw up again, like sound design aside, like her portrayal as Senua, fighting psychosis in the first game, to just doing more of that, but also been giving what we assume is a leadership role and leading like a group, like a tribe of people in the second one.
Yeah.
You have to, again, that's what I call upping the ante, is just adding more to like that, type feel. So I feel like it's a toss up between either one of them. I do give the nod to Melina Juergens though, just because again, while Senua Saga didn't, while Hellblade 2 didn't live up to the hype as Hellblade 1, in my opinion, I feel like she did up her performance in the second one compared to the first one. Whereas Hannah, no offense to her, I feel like because of like the weirdness surrounding, like, well, not even weirdness, but just like the was it released and then it just came out to a stutter for Double Exposure. I feel like that's going to hurt her chances of getting it. Like, no matter if she delivered a standout performance or not, I feel like because of the reception of the game and like it came out to a putter, it's Melina Juergens to lose.
Well, to take that argument, Derek, I also feel like Senua Saga Hellblade 2 kind of came out to a sputter as well.
True, but again, that's more so Xbox's fault than
1,000%. But the same thing with Double Exposure, it's the publisher's fault for the weird release and hardly pushing
Yeah.
the game and all of that. I do think Melina is phenomenal. I think her
Hmm.
acting chops are amazing. And to think that she was literally not an actress. She
Yeah.
was not an actress. And the way she has been able to jump into this role,
And
make it
just
her
own it.
own, because she was just doing mocap to get things set up. And then they're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I think we found Sinua here.
Hmm.
So I think Melina is a huge favorite here, but I do have to talk about Brianna playing
Okay.
Aerith in Final Fantasy. Like, she fits the part so well, and I do think because Rebirth is so loved and that character is so important for the
Fair.
story, that I
Fair.
think because there's such a wider reach of people that have played the game, that more people will be voting for her 1,000%.
Hmm.
You know, and even to Dan's point, again, I got to give it to Final Fantasy VII. Maybe that's probably just because Dan played it. I don't know.
Yeah.
um, yes, and we're not going to dog on Star Wars Outlaws right now.
No.
So, you
So,
know,
if anything, it's more Ubisoft's fault than the actors. You know what I mean?
exactly. It's not them. So, Derek, pick a category for us to talk about.
I want to get this off my chest. Let's, because I got a grievance. Let's go to
Okay.
best sports racing.
Okay, best sports racing for the best traditional and non-traditional sports and racing game. We have F1 24, EA Sports Football Club 25, NBA 2K25, Top Spin to 2K25, and WWE 2K24.
So the three that I feel like good on F124 because it's essentially dethroned Mario Kart 8. You know what I mean? But to have it, because it was working at GameStop, I always saw the F1 games come and go to little to no fanfare, and it's like
Yep.
no one cared about it. Then EA bought it, and they've made it a viable racing game. Top Spin making a comeback after being gone for I forget how many
So
years.
long.
Like I think the last one I actively remember was on the original Xbox. Like
Yeah,
obviously it may have come to like the 360, but I actively remember the last one on the original Xbox. And then WWE, because I'm still old enough to remember the negativity surrounding what was it, 18, 17, one of those two games where it was just god awful.
It was just awful. Yeah.
So the low point, and now it's made a resurgence and is in best sports racing. However, Zach, and I know we got the staples of soccer and basketball on here. Where is my college football 25? Now I know a lot of people, like when the dust settled, like of course when it came out, we were all hyped. We wanted to relive our childhood. It's been over 11 years since we last played an NCAA game, and it was finally back. I get the critical points, the not negativity, but
the criticisms.
the criticism. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The criticisms behind the release, and some of the lack of modes, some of the the repetitive music and all that kind of stuff. I get that. I do. But it played really well. I know it had its issues, like the ultimate spin move on if you played as Ohio State, the broken quarterback for Alabama, the super speedy, irrelevant wide receiver for South Carolina. I get that. But it overall was a solid game and made people care about football games again. You know what I mean? Like, where in a world where obviously, yes, there is a pro league for Madden and there's like streamers who do Madden all the time. But in a world where no one pretty much cared about Madden as much as they once did, this breathed new life into the football genre. So why isn't it on there? That is, I think, the most egregious error in this category. I think in all of the award nominations, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, this is it. For it to come out to such fanfare, it do really well. Sold insanely well. Okay.
Right.
People are still playing it. People really love it. And they're excited for the next one that will be coming out next year. Like NBA 2K25, I haven't touched. I played 2K24. No. It felt, in my opinion. Is it like Top Spin? The last one I looked it up came out in 2011 on the 360 in the PlayStation 3. You know, I'm not even going to dog on that one, but for college football to not to be on here is kind of a sin. Let's just be honest.
It is.
And it's like, did EA Sports Football 25, Football Club 25 do anything different?
It changed its name. That's it.
It's like, did it do anything innovative? Because with college football, they at least put in new passing mechanics.
Yes.
They put in new, like a lot of new stuff. And of course, I haven't played a Madden game, so I don't know if all of that's in there, but there was so much new tech within that game. And even the, like, the way you recruited and all of that in dynasty mode to the way you played your my character, I can't remember what it's called. Like, there was so much in that game, and for it to kind of get snubbed here it's a
sin.
Yeah, it's a sin. Shame. We're gonna pull you through the streets in your birthday suit.
Right. let's end this right. Let's wrap it up. Let's do one more. We have to do most anticipated game for next year.
Okay, most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game that has illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. We have Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4, and Monster Hunter Wilds.
I mean, let's be fair. Everyone's going to pick GTA 6. Like, any title Rockstar games on there, because I figured when Red Dead 2 was there, it was the most nominated. When GTA 5 was there, it was the most nominated. Obviously, if the easy pick here is going to be GTA 6. The dark horse, in my opinion, I feel like is going to be a toss-up between either Death Stranding 2 or Metroid Prime 4, just because we haven't seen a Metroid game in a very long time. And I think the last time when we saw it, when it came out as, Beyond with the tagline, it did look pretty impressive. But, Kojima, Death Stranding 2 is there for Kojima. Like, that man just loves to do weird stuff, do innovative, like push the boundaries of tech type deal. But let's be honest, Zach. Is there really any other option for us, Sony ponies, than Ghost of Yotei? Let's be fair. Like, come on, man. That Ghost is your game of the every year, Zach, except when God of War comes out.
Yeah, that's all the time.
This is going to be Zach's year to eat for when Ghost comes out. Ghost could come out December 31st, 2025, and Zach will be like, my game of the year, even though I played it at the very end of the year.
Exactly. So the thing that I want to highlight here, literally, is pushing the gaming medium forward. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds probably going to be the same stuff that we got in Worlds. They'll probably add a few things here or there. Metroid Prime, I've gone on record on Bo Knows Gaming and even on here, I don't think this game looks good, and I think it is kind of old looking, like the gameplay style and all that. So I don't think Metroid Prime is going to be pushing anything forward but her old decrepit body in the ball shape. Death Stranding 2 is going to be insane. It is going to be crazy, and the storytelling is going to be just off the wall.
I'm about to say, you're not going to understand what's going on.
Exactly. I don't think it pushes the gaming medium forward because it's just narrative. Yes, Death Stranding 1 established how the gameplay is going to be and everything, but now we're working off that system. I don't think it's going to be a huge jump, because you look at all the Metal Gear Solid games, once everything was established, it kind of kept the course. They would add a few things into each one of them to make them feel a little bit newer, and then the story was the focus. Grand Theft Auto 6, though, GTA 6, it is a formula that has worked since GTA 3. Every one of them has had the same kind of gameplay, where everything is shinier, it's newer, you get some new weapons, you get a new story, but I don't think this game is going to push the gaming medium forward. And why change what is not broken?
Yeah,
You know,
correct.
all they're going to
It's gonna make you millions of dollars on the first day, regardless.
of course, but they, you know, maybe I highly doubt they'll even change GTA Online
Correct.
as well because
I mean,
hey,
it made them probably billions of dollars. Like
Yeah.
again, why reinvent the wheel?
Now I feel like I'm dogging right now, but I'm truthing as well. Ghost of Yote has the potential to be something that does push the gaming medium forward because we do have established style of gameplay, but I think we're going to be getting some new things within this universe because not only are we in a different location, we are probably going to get new traversal options within this game. We're definitely getting a new story. We are getting new combat styles that are going to be in this game. And dude, I think that's like that is more than the rest of these can say. Like that
Well,
is
right,
like,
and it's gonna be again Sony ponies over here. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's not going to just be a paint by the numbers sequel. And
yeah,
and I know Wilds is not technically a sequel to Worlds, but when is the last time Monster Hunter like obviously when has it reinvented the wheel and pushed the medium forward? Like yes, it did introduce like an open world genre with Worlds, but you know, it's still go hunt a monster, take a piece of it off, add it to your armor, you get new weapons, rinse and repeat. You know, all these are sequels. I like how that, you know, all these are pretty much sequels or the next iteration in the series. But I do agree with you. You know, we know what we're getting with Death Stranding and GTA, and to an extent Metroid, you know, but Ghost, like they're already talking up front, like how many they're not just going to rest on their laurels of Tsushima. They're going to reinvent the wheel. And like, again, this being like the setting being 300 years in the future, like a lot of more advancements are going to happen, but you know, over those, you know, centuries. So they're going to play with some things and do some different things. So for that reason, I do agree with you that, you know, Ghost is going to be the likeliest of the bunch. But again, I say that, you know, it's just like with Game of the Year. We know everyone's going to pick GTA 6. All you got to do is you can just slap the Rockstar logo and have no game announcement. People will be like, whatever they're working on, we're highly anticipating.
Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely going to get GTA 6 in this spot and everything. But that is the episode tonight. Thanks to all of our Patreon supporters going over to patreon.com/nerdcave, picking up a Nerd Cave membership and supporting us here so we can keep the lights and mics on. We're a 1.5 person business trying to change the world, guys, with video game news each and every week. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll be back next week where Tuesday I'm taking on the community with Pokemon, the trading card game Pocket. I am looking forward to it. So come with your deck, get ready, because we're going to square up in the squared circle. And it might be a circle. I don't know, but we're going to be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. 7:00 p.m. Central Time. We're playing some Pokemon. And next week, we will not be having a Nerd Cave News because guess what? It's Thanksgiving. So,
spend it with your loved ones and your family.
Exactly. So eat a lot of food, get fat and sassy, and cozy up, guys. We love y'all. This has been Zach.
And Kale, the Eternal Wanderer.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.